Captain Forest here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over both these combatants to see who would win, more often not in an inverse situation. Firestorm versus Starfire. Now if you guys are new to my channel, please leave a like, comment down below, and of course subscribe for further content. And also, shouts to Cough Shop Gang, they make awesome content. Their links will be in the description. Also shouts to HU Squad, they also helped me in my video. Shouts to Nyotic, he gave me some insight on this matchup and gave me his thoughts and all that good stuff, and helped me with some of the scaling and all that good jazz. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead, start off with Firestorm to see what he blazes into battle. So Firestorm, believe it or not, has shown some feats, and he actually has a couple of feats under his belt, such as the time he went at it with Orion and was able to hurt him with his fire attacks and also imprison him inside a strong, durable titanium box. Another occasion was when Firestorm hurt Captain Atom and was also able to ensnare Captain Atom in a powerful flame ring. So he basically used these as restraints, which is pretty impressive. Some more feats for Firestorm, especially with his impressive durability. He's shown to take an attack from the human flame, and this very same human flame was literally able to hurt John Stewart and Red Tornado, which is pretty impressive. And we've also seen like Firestorm literally being able to just rip and absorb all of Killer Frost's power, which is very impressive. That same power is enough to literally, she's shown to absorb like the energy from the sun casually. She was draining it. She's also shown to like absorb Superman's powers, drain his life force. She's drained other characters who also have powerful AP feats, and she's also drained their powers too. She's drained their life force pretty easily, and this very same Firestorm is able to just power null and drain this same Killer Frost of her powers, which is pretty impressive. Another thing as well was the time where it was noted that Firestorm has the power of the Big Bang, and with that power he can casually like wipe out a universe if he wanted to. Another impressive feat for Firestorm was when he was able to vanquish an army of shadow demons. The shadow demons basically were the anti-monitors, like foot soldiers. So it's pretty impressive. He was able to take out some powerful creation level characters. That's going to round up AP for Firestorm. I'm going to go ahead and move on to speed. Now Firestorm has shown some pretty interesting speed stuff. So he's been able to react to Dr. Light's light ray. He's been able to go at it with Orion. He was able to tag him with his attacks, and he's been able to just keep pace with him. This very same Orion has also demonstrated to react to characters like Superman pretty easily. They're both scrapped and they both can react, and I've gone over the speed scaling for Superman in my previous videos, so if you want more insight on that, please check those out, but it's pretty impressive nonetheless. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to some of Firestorm's abilities. Now Firestorm has like a plethora of hexes. I will break down some of the more combat applicable ones, but I'm not going to go into all of them. It really isn't necessary. So basically, for more of his combat applicable features, Firestorm can project fire attacks at his opponents and energy blasts. He can also project a large giant area of effect, and he can cause like nuclear explosions. As mentioned, Firestorm is well known for his transmutation and elemental abilities and hexes. He's shown to turn people and objects to salt. He can turn water into oxygen. He can turn rocks into glass. He can turn a gun into peanut butter. He can create knockout gas and manipulate the elements into anything he desires. He's also shown to absorb energy attacks, and he's also demonstrated to even absorb Killer Frost's powers too, which is pretty impressive. So he has a lot of elemental control, a lot of matter manipulation, and he can control like molecules, atoms, subatomic particles. He can change the elements into anything he wants. Like he can use the very same like wind, like he can just use the wind and turn that into like glass, or he can just like for example, when he was trying to help John Stewart, who was suffering from this like weird disease, he basically transmutated all the diseases into like Superman plushies, and which is pretty interesting. So he has a lot of crazy hexes up his sleeve. But regardless, that is going to round up Firestorm. I'm going to go ahead, move on to Starfire and see what she brings to the table. Starfire actually has some pretty impressive feats. We've seen Starfire go at it with a possessed Wonder Woman. This very same Wonder Woman who was possessed by envy notes that she hit Starfire real good implying that she was not suppressed, and Envy, who was controlling Wonder Woman, even boasts about how strong Wonder Woman's might is, and this very same Starfire takes an attack from her, and Starfire was able to blast Wonder Woman with her Starbolt, causing her a bit of pain. Pretty impressive. There was another occasion where Starfire does battle with Wonder Woman. This very same Wonder Woman was somewhat suppressed, but was forced to exert some more effort in the fight and even complimented Starfire. It just goes to show that Starfire is definitely no pushover. She definitely like downscale to these other heroes and other characters, which is pretty impressive. And another showing that comes to mind was the time where Starfire matched UV Sinestro in a beam struggle. However, she did come up short afterwards, but she did not get one shot. This is more of a endurance feat for Starfire, nonetheless is very impressive. UV Sinestro is extremely powerful during that run, so that's a feat to not scoff at for Starfire. Another impressive feat for Starfire was the time when she was pissed off. Her Starbolts were so powerful that it was affecting Jessica's Green Lantern construct. It was drastically draining her ring's battery percentage, and Jessica even notes that she is unable to hold the barrier up for much longer. So that's another impressive feat for Starfire. So that's going to round up AP. I'm going to go ahead and move on to speed. So Starfire can easily keep pace with Wonder Woman in combat. Wonder Woman herself has shown to keep pace with Superman before in combat. And of course Starfire was able to react to UV Sinestro, and UV Sinestro is fast enough to tag Superman himself. So some really good speed scaling right there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead talk a little bit about Starfire and her abilities. So Starfire's main go-to in combat is her Starbolts. She can shoot them with pinpoint accuracy. Her Starbolts can atomize you on an atomic level, and her Starbolts can also affect you spiritually. Starfire has demonstrated to imbued her Starbolt energy inside her opponent's body, vaporizing their insides completely, and Starfire can create a giant area of effect with her Starbolt energy, and she can also flash fry her opponents with just her Starbolts alone. She's demonstrated to be able to also phase her hands into her opponents and vaporize them through other means as well. She also demonstrated to use her Starbolts in many strategic ways and tactical ways, such as disarming some goons by blasting her Starbolts at their guns to make them drop them. She's also demonstrated some really good accuracy feats as mentioned, like she's able to blast her Starbolts from far away and target a boat from literally from a long distance, which is so impressive. Now moving on, Starfire has super strength and stamina. She can fly, and she also has nigh indestructible skin pretty much. Starfire can also draw upon and absorb energy from the sun and any other energy source. And Starfire can also use telekinesis, and she can also seal you inside a telekinetic ball of energy. Alright, so that's going to round up both these combatants. I'm going to go ahead and give my thoughts and my analysis on who I think wins more often than not in an inverse situation. Now, looking at this fight on paper, it looks pretty easy to determine who would win. However, when I looked at the fight and looked at like in-character arguments, I looked at context, I looked at how these combatants use their powers in different types of situations and scenarios, it turns out to be a little bit more complicated than I originally thought. I actually thought this matchup was pretty linear. I was on the bench on who I thought would take victory. I had to console my advisors, I had to talk to some people, talk to Nyotic and all my good friends, but I will go into detail. I'll break it down so you guys can understand. Now, in terms of attack potency, they both have some really good AP feats, honestly creation level feats, but I do think Starfire does scale a little bit more in terms of AP. Her feats are more direct, more impressive. The scaling's really good for her. Now, as for speed's a little bit weird. You could argue them being relative, or you could argue Starfire having the speed edge a little more. However, I don't think speed will necessarily be too much of an issue per se. Now, stats is concluded. I'm going to go ahead and talk about like what else these combatants bring to the table. Now, Firestorm, he's a tricky beast. I have to talk about Firestorm for a second. Now, yes, granted, Firestorm has a lot of nasty hexes. He can turn you into salt, he can turn you into different types of materials, and he can mess with the elemental compounds and mess with the chemicals in the air, turn things to helium, all nasty transmutation hexes. Now, I originally thought, you know, that would be like the end all be all, but after looking at how Firestorm works in character, he tends to suppress his hexes. He doesn't like using those abilities on people like mortals. He has like kind of like a moral compass. So the only time he'll resort to using his mana manipulation on mortals and people is if they're inorganic, if they're robots, you know, fakes, clones, or if he's seriously like emotionally conflicted, like he's really angry, pissed off, no morals. That's the only time he'll do that. However, he only uses his mana manipulation abilities more so for like offensive means, like he'll try and use the air, or he'll turn things into a weapon to like defend himself or to hit his opponent. He won't directly use his abilities on his opponents. He will use it on their weapons. For example, like if you drew out like a gun, he'd probably turn that into like Lego pieces or something, but he's not going to turn you to Lego pieces in character. He values like the life of humans, so he won't like abuse his powers to affect mortals, if you understand what I'm talking about. So because of this, I think the in-character arguments really do, like, it does hinder Firestorm in this regard, because I think if it came down to hexes, I think he would one-shot Starfire with those mana manipulation abilities. He would easily turn her to like dust or like salt. I don't really see what Starfire can do. She doesn't have any resistances to any of those types of nasty hexes. So I think that's going to be his downfall in this battle. However, he could use, I see in like the start of the fight, he would use his transmutation tactics more so for defense. So if Starfire was to blast like star bolts, he'd turn them to like fairies, or he'd turn it to like flowers or something. But if it comes down to fisticuffs, because he likes to do this in character, he'll either shoot energy blasts, he'll use pyrokinesis, shoot fire, or he'll charge in and beat up his opponents. Like, if it comes down to fisticuffs, Starfire is exceptionally skilled. She's vastly above Firestorm when it comes to a physical like confrontation. She's extremely skilled. She's very skilled, and I think if it came down to fisticuffs, she would judo flip his butthole and she would beat his ass. And I think because of those in-character arguments, what I see more, what Starfire would do, and both sides would do more often than not, I think Starfire takes victory with a good amount of difficulty. I think mid difficulty. I definitely think Firestorm is going to try his best to remain defensive and also try to exert some offense. But I think just the ground and pound, the skill, she has the AP as well. So I think she just incapacitate him or break his neck or just severely hurt him so he can't fight back. So I would give victory to Starfire. Now if we like remove the in character arguments, like if we was to just say, okay, stipulations, no morals off, out of character fights, I would give victory to Firestorm. He would abuse the absolute hell out of his mana manipulation, his transmutation. He has the environmental advantage. Like everything around Starfire would be a weapon for Firestorm. He could literally remove, like he could just affect like the chemical like compounds in her body, you know, turn her body, she turn her into stone. He could affect the air, make, you know, so it's helium not oxygen, you know, cause her some like breathing problems, or use knockout gas, or use all types of nasty other abilities. So if it came down to that, he'd have versatility like any day of the week. Looking at things from a in-character, inverse perspective, Starfire takes victory. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, give me your thoughts. But yeah, it's been real. See you guys in the next one. Peace.